Hey everybody, Tim Norris here. You know me as the Gray Elephant, and welcome to a quick review by Gray Elephant Gaming. Now before we begin, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Very encouraging and it helps promote the videos. So today we're going to be talking about Old West Empresario. This is sent to me by Tasty Minstrel Games, and there's the box cover right there. And I just did finish doing the playthrough, and I highly recommend if you haven't checked that out, do so, because it's going to give you a great idea how this game works mechanically. Now in this video, what I'm mainly going to do is talk about what I think of the game and kind of give you a little overview of some of the mechanical parts of how it works, so the mechanisms. Alright, so basically it's a tile drafting game, and you're going to roll the dice, you're going to place them up here, you're going to either draft tiles, you're going to discard them for money, and then you're going to build them in your town. So when you draft them into your town, you're going to basically place them construction side down, and then eventually you want to turn them constructed side up to be able to actually score them. Now, what I like so much about this is that there are so many different varieties of buildings. In fact, there's a rule book here, and it shows you and it breaks it down per color, which is very helpful, and also gives you an idea of how the effect is, and then their end game scoring abilities as well. So the rule book does a great job of breaking down these buildings to try to help you I guess, understand all this iconography, because there is, as you notice, quite a bit that you need to look at. But as you get acquainted more so with what these symbols mean, the game becomes much easier for you to just immediately recognize, and you don't really have to look at this rule book too often. It becomes more intuitive, and especially if you're more of a seasoned gamer. But there are still a few that do sometimes still throw me through a loop, unfortunately, and typically it revolves around these white buildings, which are civic buildings. I'll sometimes have issues with them. So let's break this down on what I enjoy so much about some of these buildings and how we build and what the buildings mean. So there's different ways to score the buildings, and you're either going to score them based upon their stock value, which is either railroad, their oil, or their cotton. And you're going to score the oil individually, you're going to score the cotton individually as long as it's divided throughout your town, and then your railroad based upon your longest joined contiguous grouping, which in this case would be 4 of them right here all grouped together, which would score you 4 points. That's what happened in the playthrough. And then you're also going to score them based upon what they're adjacent to. So it gives you a lot to think about. So in the case of like the railroads, you want them to be touching each other, obviously, but you don't always necessarily want these types of buildings touching each other unless they're going to give you the bonuses that are on the tile as well. And in this case, it did come out very luckily so that this distillery here scores a victory point if it's next to a blue building, and it just so happened to be placed to that. The mine gets a bonus 2 points if it's placed next to an inn, which it was, and then also another bonus point if it's for every distillery it's connected to, which it just so conveniently was. So you want to try to place them based upon their stock value and also based upon their end game scoring value so that you can maximize the benefit of each building. But it doesn't really stop there now, does it? No, it doesn't, because you also want to try to pay attention to the value of the dice and what their abilities are. So like in this case with the distillery, because it seems that we're kind of focused on that, every time you would activate a 4 value, so in this case whenever you do draft one of these dice, you can either take the tile, discard the tile, or you can use the tile to activate all your buildings of that single number. So in this case, whenever you would activate a 4 value, you could activate all 4 values in your town, and this one would say that you would destroy 1 coin to be able to gain 2 victory points. And the victory point tokens, I need to talk about that because, you know, there's sometimes you see companies, they do things and you think, wow, you know, that's really impressive that they did that. And in this case, I want to show you the variety of the people that they had represented in this game, and this is not something you often see, but at the same time, when you do see it, you really tend to appreciate it. So, you know, we have a white woman, a woman of color, we also have a Hispanic woman, and then a white cowboy guy, you know. And I really thought that was neat because sometimes you're going through and you're like, okay, so I have, and you're just grabbing them sometimes randomly, but then sometimes you're like, well, I already got those 2 cowboys and I've got the woman, and well, I want this woman now to go with that guy. You know, it's just kind of funny the way that you'll look at that, and it's just a nice little variety, and it just, those are the small details that I really appreciate that are put into games that not everybody necessarily recognizes, but I know I do, and I really like that. So we also have the Native American territories that are located down here, and if you notice that each player did start accumulating those, and I do like how these basically the larger these plots are, the chances are that you're going to be able to score the most points on those, and whoever does end with the most is going to get 4 victory points. And what I like about these is that they're immediately built. So I guess, you know, the thinking along is this, is that they're just basically placing up their TPs, and it's kind of a quicker process than having to build and construct an entire building. So these are just immediately turned face up and they're active whenever you place them into your town, and then they give you immediate benefits. So they're really valuable, but at the same time, if you notice, they're not giving you any kind of a stock, nor are they giving you any kind of extra ability if you do decide to draft the die to activate your buildings. So you do have this kind of like this teeter-totter, you know, it's kind of like these are phenomenal because they give me instant FX, but that's it, it's a one-shot deal. But at the same time, if I get the most, I get extra victory points. Plus, you know, you have the civic building where you're going to get bonus victory points depending upon how many you do have in your town at the end of the game. So there's just so much to absorb about this game. And then I haven't even talked about the wanted cards. So wanted cards are cards that you're going to be trying to acquire if you meet these details. So in this case, it says try to construct 2 buildings with each of these symbols. So you want 2 that have the cotton stock, 2 that have the railroad, and 2 that have the oil. And the first person to do that is going to get the golden card. And if you notice, the golden card is always going to be 2 points more valuable than the person who gets the silver card. So you want to try to look for those. So not only are you looking for the stock, then you're trying to move the tiles around in your town so that you can score them at the end of the game and maximize that. But then you're also trying to go for these tiles here, but then you're also trying to go for, you know, adjacency to buildings, and so much to think about. And that's why this game rocks. I have had so stinking much fun, and this is my 5th game of it, and I have not even remotely became tired of it. It makes me think of well, like I played like Carson City, the card game, and then you have like the cards, but this is so much better because you have the nice thick tiles and much better production value. And I did not really enjoy Carson City, the card game, but I enjoy this one a heck of a lot. I like the dice. I like how you definitely get your actions. And then one thing I didn't talk about either is these abilities. Now, if you wanted to, you could play a vanilla game where everybody has the same ability, which is right here on the back. And if you notice, it does say Standard Entrepreneur. But what I think is fun is mixing it up and giving each person a different special power that they can take advantage of. And in this case, in Scarlet, in the Play-Thru, she could re-roll. So instead of drafting her die and say that that's a 2, she can say, let's see what we get. Now it's a 5. I'm going to take from the 5 column, and I get 2 coins as well because that's my ability. I'm a gambler. So I think that's fun to be able to have the different abilities of each of the characters. And I have played with several of them, and they feel very well balanced. I haven't felt that there's any character that's like, whoa, that seems like a broken deal. It does come with a nice score pad, plenty of extra pads, sheets here. Like I said, I've already played multiple times. I think my highest score so far has been 58. That's been my best so far. I feel like I could do better than that, but like I said, this is one of those games that you could play multiple times and you just don't feel like you've yet mastered it because there's so many different ways to build your town and so many different varieties that you just can't really hit everything you want to do. So do I recommend this? Absolutely, man. It does scale extremely well from 2-player, and I have played 4-player. So really there's and the only difference is you'll add more victory points and there will be more dice up there. But other than that, there's really no difference. I like this game. I like this game an awful lot. I think Tasty Minstrel did a great job. I think this is a continuation from Pioneer Days is the name of the game. Now, I have not played that, so I haven't even seen it really. And if it is, I want to go check out that one now, because if it's anything, I mean, familiar to anything like what I'm doing here, or along the same line of the Western theme, which I love the Western theme as well, I got to play it. So, yep. Old West Empresario. I highly recommend that one. Check it out if you possibly get a chance. It will be available at Gen Con, so check it out there. I believe it's for $60 for sale. I have to double check that. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff to make my life so much happier and sweeter. And as usual, you guys are the best. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.